Hi there, DIXON Fabrication again. I'm just going to do this video, trying to explain how the immobiliser works. This will go along with another video that I've done about basically getting to the point is explaining about how to use our standalone looms and our immobiliser bypass box that we supply. We provide these. You can get them off our website. If you check our website, I'll put a link at the bottom for you to have a look, at all our stuff on there. Right, basically, so this is the ECU. That's that bit. You'll recognise this, I'm sure. This is the BCU, body control unit. That's that bit. Some of you might already know what these look like. This is the roof receiver. Looks like this. Goes into the roof. Just sits up there. So when you press your key, it recognises it. This is a very poor drawing of an ignition key. I don't actually have a Discovery 2 key, so I'll have to use a Ford key to same things as an example. Now this here is the ignition switch, and around the ignition switch there's a coil. There's a field coil. Now that field coil is connected to the BCU. Basically everything that is part of the alarm system is connected to the BCU. The BCU is actually the main brain of the car. It controls all kinds of things. It controls the air suspension, controls the ACE, the active handling, controls the even controls the windows and stuff like the air conditioning and all kinds of things. Well, that's what we don't need. See, we don't need. We're trying to get it to run without this. It also controls the immobiliser. Right. So let's see. So that's everything on there. Right, so what happens basically is your key, as I explained, this is a Ford key, it's the same sort of idea. There's a chip in the end of the key there. Now what happens is, you come up to your car's locked, your doors are locked, the alarm's activated, the car's immobilised. You press your button, bleep bleep, to open your doors. I don't know whether it sounds like that. Anyway, so you press your button to open your doors. That sends a signal to the receiver in the roof. That then sends a signal to the BCU. The BCU opens the doors. It knows that someone's getting into the car, whatever. Disarms the alarm. Now the chip in the end of the key, when you get into the car and you put the key in the ignition, this field coil senses the chip's vicinity, senses that it's close to it, sends a signal to the BCU. That then basically tells the BCU that the car is unlocked, the correct ignition key is in the ignition switch, and it's safe to allow the car to start. So that then sends a code, a digital signal down one wire to the ECU. This digital signal, I believe it's 5 volts, so basically 5 volts, and that is 0 volts, right? Basically each BCU has a number on it, and each BCU's signal that it transmits when it's disarmed is unique to each BCU. So if you change that, you need to, in your car, you need to resync everything so it works. Right, so basically, if that's 5 volts and 0 volts, this is what the digital signal looks like. So basically that's a length of time, and then it goes to 0 volts, which is basically off, and then there can be a length of time, then it'll go back to 5 volts, then there could be a longer length of time, back to 0 volts, short length of time, back to 0 volts, and basically it does that. And that makes up a digital code. And that digital code, as I explained, is unique to every BCU. That digital code is sent to the ECU when all of the things are in place and the car's disarmed. So when you turn your ignition switch on, that fires up your ECU. It'll allow the engine to start momentarily for a few seconds, but immediately it starts to look for this signal down this wire. The BCU as everything, because the ignition's in there, in the ignition switch, the receivers receive the signal, so that's unlocked. The alarm's disarmed, so then it's transmitting the signal. So when the ECU sees that signal, everything's good. Allows the engine to run. Now what we need to do is we need to try and simplify the wiring. So we need to get rid of all of this. So what we do is we get rid of all of that. Right, so that's what we're left with. Left with an engine, an ECU, an ignition switch, because that's basically what we need. That's all we need. That's all we're interested in. We haven't got air conditioning, we haven't got air suspension, anything like that, because we're putting in a Defender. That's dead bog standard. So we turn the ignition switch on, ECU fires up, allows the engine to start, looks for the code, there's no code. So therefore the ECU will shut down and it won't start. So we need to get over that. So what we need, how we get over this, I'll just get one off the drum. So how we get over this is with this. This is a mobiliser bypass unit. How it works, when the ignition switch is turned on, at the same time the ECU is fired up, this little box here is powered up, and this little box just has 3 wires on, has a live, an earth, and then a signal wire. Now these boxes give out a set signal. So when that box is fired up, it sends a signal out of a wire. So turn the ignition on, ECU fires up, engine starts, ECU looks for the signal in straight away, it sees the signal because it's coming from the box, and it'll start, and away we go. Now if you watch the video of us getting the engine running after this, I'll sort of explain. There is a little bit more to it, because you need to make the ECU recognise this new signal, because the old signal for the BCU is in the bin. So the ECU needs to be programmed with a nanocom, and it's just a simple learn code. I think you press 3 or 4 buttons and it takes about a minute. Once that's done, it's learnt the signal from the immobiliser bypass. That's permanent. Job done. Every time you go to your car and start it, it'll start. Right, hope that was clear. Thanks very much. Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe apparently.